So this is going to be a little different than my normal videos. Normally we're talking about UFC cards, we're talking about product reviews, we're looking at sports highlights, but something kind of crazy happened. I tore the strongest tendon in the human body. I tore my Achilles tendon. So this series is just going to be about, what it's like to have an Achilles tendon tear, what it's like to go through the Achilles tendon surgery process and recovery. So right after getting injured, I went on YouTube because that's what I do when I want to get more information on a subject and I want to research. I went on YouTube and I was surprised that there was only a couple videos like this about this process. So I kind of just want to add on to those videos and try and give as much information as possible about what this process is like and what you could expect if you had this injury. Also I'm going to be laid up for month or two, which is crazy because I'm super active, but doing these videos hopefully can kind of give me an outlet for my time and my energy and give me a project to work on while I'm recovering through this process. Okay, so I guess we got to start with how it happened. I'm a really athletic person. I love to do martial arts, I love to do jiu-jitsu, I love to do striking classes, boxing, kickboxing. Basketball really was my first love growing up. I love sports, I love to play, and I hurt this playing basketball like so many other people do. I'll put a clip up here of like Kobe hurting his Achilles, or maybe Kevin Durant hurting his Achilles, but the mechanism for rupturing the Achilles is super common in basketball movements, and it happened basically the exact same way that it happened to these two guys. I was going back on defense on transition. I kind of lunged, I reached my leg back, lunged forward to try and make a steal on a fast break, and as soon as I kind of made that like shallow angle with my foot's here and my legs here and my heels off the ground, boom, it just popped. And I remember in school, we went over Achilles tears, and it was exactly what they described. If I literally thought my defender was behind me, and I thought that my defender came up and was trying to make a steal and hit and literally kicked my calf. It's crazy. It's literally exactly how they described. Super loud pop. Nobody was really near me because it was a fast break, but I wonder if anyone else actually could have heard that. But a super loud pop. I thought the defender kicked me, and my foot and calf kind of immediately went numb. So I kind of walked over to the bench. The game stopped as it always does when somebody gets hurt when you're playing fives and you're running games. I went over, sat on the bench, and I immediately knew, like, this is bad. I've had small injuries before, broken foot, rolled my ankles a bunch of times, obviously playing basketball, a couple smaller muscle tears, but I knew this is bad. Like this is not normal for my calf to just be completely numb. And I'm really familiar with NBA injuries, and Achilles tendon tears happen quite a lot. Klay Thompson had one a couple years ago, and immediately that's kind of what I thought of. And I was like, please, I hope this is not an Achilles tendon tear, but it was kind of what I expected. If you're here because you tore your Achilles tendon, how did you do it? Did you do it playing sports? What was it, pickleball, basketball? Put that in the comments below. Immediately after the injury, I'm looking down, I took my shoe off. I'm able to stand and walk on it, which to me was a little odd. I was thinking maybe it was just a partial tear because I was able to walk on it. The pain was pretty bad initially. It was probably like a 7 or 8 out of 10, but I was surprised that I could bear weight and continue to walk on it. I was kind of holding out hope that maybe it was like a partial tear, or maybe it was just a muscle tear, and it hurt more than normal. So my friend came over and I told him, dude, I think I just tore my Achilles. Like, it's exactly what they make it seem like in school. I was like, I think I just ruptured my Achilles. And he's like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, this is bad. Because I guess the people that were playing just thought I rolled my ankle, because that's like the most common injury in like an open gym. But I was like, man, this is bad. So I went, got in the car, drove home, left-footed because it actually is on my right leg, which was kind of weird, but I was able to navigate that process and get home safe. And I knew my wife was coming home, and right before I left, she had said, please be safe. That's what she always says, because I'm always out doing, sports and activities that, you could possibly get injured in. And she's like, please be safe. So I was really bummed to be like, hey, I was not safe, and I tore my Achilles. But yeah, so I'm home, wife gets home, and continuing to do some tests. I'll put a link here for like the Thompson test. It's a test for you to actually test if your Achilles tendon is ruptured. You like squeeze the calf, and if you have plantar flexion with your foot, then your Achilles tendon is actually intact. And I had her do that on me. No movement at all. So again, it's kind of not a good sign. It's another confirming flag of what I think is wrong, which is a full Achilles tendon tear. My friend's a physical therapist. He actually told me that the Thompson test doesn't differentiate between a partial tear and a full tear. So I guess you could have a positive Thompson test for a tear and still have a partial tear. Now, I don't know if that's going to change your mind on what direction you want to go, whether it's surgical or non-surgical, but you know, just a tidbit for y'all to know. So we've got multiple red flags on we got the pop, we got a little indentation almost, but I'm feeling it kind of feels like a gap, but I'm not sure because it's swelled up pretty bad initially. A lot of pain, can't move my calf, and we got the positive Thompson test. So I'm thinking, I think this is an Achilles tendon rupture. Let's go somewhere and try and get an MRI. So now we get the United States healthcare system, and I'm running around to multiple different ERs trying to get an MRI. I think I went to 2, they didn't have an MRI machine. Finally went to a 3rd, and the PA comes in with me for a couple minutes, touches it, asks me some questions. She says, I think you have a full Achilles tendon tear. I said, I know, can I get an MRI? And what she does is she referred me to an orthopedic surgeon to go meet with them the next day and get an MRI with them. So fast forward to the next day, I go to the orthopedic surgeon. They do an x-ray, which I don't need or want, but they do it anyway. Then they schedule me for an MRI, and the orthopedic surgeon comes in, he looks at it and he says, I think you have a full Achilles tendon tear. I said, I know. Can I get an MRI? No, you got to come back tomorrow and do it. And I'm going to refer you to an ankle specialist, an ankle surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. So I'm like, okay. So come back the next day, do an MRI, which was kind of an interesting process. The MRI lasted about 45 minutes. It's pretty loud. With the Achilles tendon tear, you only put like your knee into the MRI machine. So if you're real claustrophobic or worried about that, that's not necessarily something that should bother you. It is really loud, but they give you some headphones, and only your legs inside the machine, so should be fine if you're claustrophobic. So I was super happy to actually get to the person that I needed to be at after, you know, kind of getting the runaround. And after looking at the MRI results, he confirmed it was a full Achilles tendon tear, kind of a classic spot, like an inch or 2 above the heel. Full rupture, and surgical intervention is probably going to be the best method for me based on, you know, how active I am and based on how much movement I'm doing at my job. So leaving the orthopedic surgeon, they're going to give you, you know, what pharmacy do you want? They're going to give you all your pre-operative, pre-surgery drugs that you need to get from the pharmacy. Definitely call the pharmacy multiple times before your operation and make sure that you have those drugs on hand when you're leaving the surgery. I was pretty nauseous after surgery from the anesthesia, and we had to go and pick up 2 more drugs that they didn't have at the pharmacy because the surgeon's office didn't update them with the script fast enough. So I would try and keep an eye on that situation and get those drugs ready to go before, because sitting in the parking lot when I was nauseous was not the best time. So definitely something you could do to kind of streamline the process is get those before your surgery date. Some of the drugs to expect were anti-nausea medication, obviously pain meds. They gave me a couple antibiotics for the actual incision. You know, it is a surgery, they're going to be cutting you open, so that's one of the main red flags, is like an infection at the surgical site and at the incision site. But that's kind of what the first stages leading up to your surgery will kind of look like. It's definitely a lot of appointments, it's a lot of running around, it's a lot of paperwork, it's a lot of insurance information, but hopefully you guys can get to where you need to be and see the people that you need to see in order to fix this problem. So my next video is going to be about the actual surgery day and kind of what to expect during surgery and what that process was like. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you guys are interested in following this. I know there's a lot of people that suffer from this injury, and it did kind of help me to watch some videos and kind of open my eyes as to what the process would look like. So if you're interested in following this process, please give it a like and subscribe.